Welcome back to Tari Planners. Today I will be walking you through our ultimate fitness tracker. When you first enter the Google Sheet, you will see, as usual, our welcome page. On our welcome page, you will see a link to our instruction video, a link to the Etsy shop, and then a link to each of the different tabs within this tracker. This tracker includes 14 tabs. You have a setup tab, homepage, photo log, body measurements, conversion chart, exercise cards, workout log, strength training routines, workout planner, a daily journal, your recipe book, your weekly meal planner, your expense tracker, and finally your rewards tracker. This tracker can be split into two sections. First, the fitness, and then meal planning. We are now going to go step by step through each tab so that you can get a better understanding on how to use this tracker. Here we have the home page, or better known as the dashboard. This is going to show you a summary of all of the different information that you put into the different tabs throughout this tracker. When you first enter the dashboard, you will have a welcome back sign, as well as how many days since you started your fitness journey. This will be determined by the date that you put into the setup page. You'll be able to see your current measurements depending on what you have put in on your body measurements tracker. And it will also tell you how much you need to lose in order to achieve your goal. It will give you an estimation of how much you have remaining. And when you've reached your goal for each body part, you will see that you have reached your goal. As you scroll down, you will have your photo progress. This is really important when you're on a fitness journey and something that can be really easy to forget to do. But in this tracker, we make it super easy. You can change the different dates by clicking the drop down. Here we've got July as our first starting date and then August as our second date. And you can see here the progress you have made throughout your time using the tracker. Above this is your most recent photo progress. So you may have it set to dates that are earlier in your fitness journey. Or for example, this is currently set to our most recent progress, which is August. Along the side, you can see your progress within the 2 months. So here it's telling us between July and August, we have gone down 1.5 kg. Our BMI has dropped and we've also seen a drop in our waist. If you select a month that doesn't have any pictures, but you do have information in for, you'll still see your progress between the months and how many months have passed since, but it will just tell you that there are no pictures in the photo log and that you would need to put photos in. You can easily do that by clicking on this link here and then clicking through the hyperlink. Further down, we just have a graph that shows your actual weight loss over time. This line here shows you your goal weight. Here we've set our goal weight at 60 kg. And then the top line shows you your weight at each weigh-in so far. To make any changes, you can click here on the body measurement tracker. As we scroll down, we then start to look at fitness. So here we're looking at how many times we are completing specific exercises throughout a specific month. If you click on the drop down, this includes all exercises. So we can click here to see how many times we completed all of the exercises, or you can break it down by exercise type. Here we can click hip abduction and it says during January, we have completed this once. This information is taken from our workout log and you can easily get to the workout log by clicking the hyperlink above. We then have a pie chart showing all of the different amounts that we have spent on our groceries. It gives us a breakdown by grocery type and tells us the overall percentage that has been allocated to that specific grocery type. You can update this by going to the expense tracker. As we scroll down, we see the grocery expense tracker. The grocery expense tracker gives you the ability to look at a category, within that category, a specific product. And when looking at specific products, it will show you the total amount spent on that type of product, the highest spending month on that type of product, and within that product range, it will give you your highest value product. So here, for example, we could look at vegetables. Within vegetables, we have medium avocado. And this is showing us that we haven't spent anything on avocados at all during our time of grocery shopping from the beginning of our use of this tracker. which means that we don't have a highest spend month when it comes to this product. However, the highest amount that we have spent on this product or could spend on this product is $120. If we go back and we look at grains and breads, we can select within grains and breads, rolled oats. And here we can see the total spend for rolled oats since we've had this tracker is £5. The highest spend month on rolled oats is January, with £5 in total being spent on that. However, within this category range, so grains and breads, and if we click the drop down, we can see we've got bread, rolled oats, chia seeds, and rye bread. The actual highest value product are chia seeds. And because of that, that's showing us that it's £12 and it's the highest product value. All of this information can be updated by going to the expense tracker. We then have the workout performance graph. This workout performance graph shows you how often you are working out compared to what you have planned for that month. This can be updated within the workout planner tab, which is different to the workout log tab. So this is showing us that within January, we had planned to do 33 workouts. We have completed 19 of those, and there are still 14 for us to do, which means we have completed 58% of the workouts that we had planned for ourselves. The rest of the charts within this tab all come from our daily journal tab. Here you'll be able to track your hours slept, your mood, your energy levels, and finally your water intake across the various dates. If we scroll up, we can see on the left hand side we have a grocery shopping list. This shopping list automatically populates from the information that you put into your weekly meal planner. Anything that is required for you to purchase for your weekly meal planning will automatically populate here, and anything that you include as having already bought or having already in your pantry will disappear from this grocery list. You also have a summary of all of your macros for the week. This will update each week depending on what you have included in your weekly meal plan. On the left-hand side, you also have hyperlinks to each and every single one of the tabs within this workbook. So let's move through to the next tab. Welcome to the Setup tab. The first thing that you will notice on our Setup tab is that you have a navigation menu down the left-hand side of the page. This is the same on each and every single one of the tabs within this tracker to allow you to navigate easily to any of the tabs that you need to use. You also note that you have a welcome message. This welcome message will update automatically each time you go into the tab to either tell you good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. This is to just keep you engaged and to ensure that you are feeling welcomed and happy to use this tracker. When setting up your Google Sheet, it is important that you also go into your settings to ensure that your Google Sheet is on the correct time zone. This will allow for your welcome message to correctly reflect what time of the day it's on. This is a really easy setting to do, but we're going to walk you through just so you know exactly how to do this. So the first thing you're going to do is go into File. You're going to click Settings. When the settings bar comes up, you'll see that you have a locale and you have a time zone. The first thing you want to do is change where you are in the world. And the second thing you're going to do is change your time zone. Depending on where you are, there are a range of options. In the UK, we have something called daylight savings. So we go forward 1 hour in summer, and in the winter, we take our clocks back 1 hour. So at the moment, we are GMT +1, but yours might be slightly different. Once you have set it to your correct location and time zone, you're going to click Save Settings, and that will ensure that your welcome message is showing correctly across this Google Sheet. When doing the setup, the first thing that you're going to list is your name, whether or not you are a woman or a man. This will then change some of the images across the tracker. You will then put the start date, so the first day that you'll be using your tracker from, the first day that you will start weighing in from and start taking measurements from. This information will go in here. You will then put your height, This can be either in centimeters or inches, and you can use the conversion chart on the conversion chart tab to help you determine what that should be. You will also include your age. You can then set up your different grocery categories. However, this tracker will come with these pre-populated grocery categories to save you time in the setup process. Then for your shopping list, you have your shopping list status. Similarly, this will come pre-populated to save you time in the setup process. You can then change your currency here. You would just type in whichever currency you want to use, and this will automatically populate across the spreadsheet. Here you will include the different items that you want to measure when it comes to body measurements. We will also leave this pre-populated, and there are 3 extra spaces that you can customize. You then have your muscle groups, and this will help you to set up your exercise cards as well as your strength training routines. We will leave this pre-populated and allow you to customize the remaining 5. Finally, you're able to populate your calories, carbs, protein, fat, sugar, and fiber intakes that you determine you want to use for yourself. After you update your age and your height, you will then have an automatic calculation for your target heart rate for when you are completing your workouts. The items that are in light green should not be changed, and this is the same throughout the remainder of the spreadsheet. The chart allows you to see the range for which your heart rate should be when you are working at different levels of exercise. So for example, if I change my age to 35, there'll be a slight change in my target minimum rate, my fat burning zone, and my target maximum heart rate. Below, we have included this estimated BMR and TDEE calculator. This is for reference only, and please note that these calculations are an estimate only. Please ensure that you're consulting your healthcare professional for more accurate calorie calculations and before undergoing any weight loss or weight gain journey. You'll see here that if we change our activity level to moderate, we then get an automatic estimation of our BMR and TDEE, and then dependent on our weight goal, whether it is fast weight loss, moderate weight loss, or moderate weight gain, we can then estimate roughly how much our daily calorie intake should be. The next tab is our conversion chart and calculator. In this tab, you're able to convert weight measurements and height measurements. The weight measurements are from pounds to kilograms, stone to kilograms, kilograms to pound, kilograms to stone, pound to stone, and then stone to pounds. And this chart below shows you the reference for each. Up here, all you'll have to do is enter the amount. So for example, we might say 65. We can then do feet to centimeters for height measurements, or we could do pounds to kilograms. This will then give you the converted unit amount, and you're able to use this whether you are cooking or you are putting in your height and weight measurements. Below, we have a feet to inches calculator. So for example, if you are 5 feet 2 inches, you are 62 inches in total. Hopefully this tab helps you to be able to do any conversions that you need to do. We have now moved to our body measurements and weight loss tracker. On this tab, as you can see, once again, we have the navigation menu down the left hand side. You'll also notice that every single day when you come into this tab, you'll be able to see a welcome message and a motivational saying. Hopefully this prompts you along in your journey and helps you along the way. The first thing that you will need to do when you come into this tab is to set up your height and your starting weight. Please note that these amounts will be based upon whichever height or weight measurement you select in these boxes here. If I scroll along, you'll see that if I select to do inches with kg, that gives us an invalid input because this tracker is unable to compare inches in kg. So please note that you'll have to stick to imperial measurement methods or metric measurement methods, depending on your preference. Here we're going to do centimeters and kilograms. And you have the option to show the BMI visibility or not. If I click no, below it will have enable visibility in order for you to be able to see all of the different BMI levels. As I change that back to yes, that changes again. You'll also note that these icons change depending on which gender you select at the beginning in setup. So for example, if I click man, we go into our body measurement tracker, the icon will now be that of a man. The starting measurements are based on the measurements that you include on the first row of this table, as this will be the measurements and weight that you input on your first day. Please do not change the first box, which is in light green, as this is pulling from your setup page for your first day, your start date. Following on from there, you'll be able to click into a box and set a specific date where you can record all of your measurements. So here, we're just going to do 4, 33, 24, 24, 120, 44, 54, 54, 43, 43, and then we can do 73. You'll see here that our weight has come down to overweight. And if we go back to our welcome page or our home page and scroll up to the top, we now have our current measurements as at the 16th of April, as well as the amount that we need to lose. If we now go back to our body measurement tracker, you can see here on the right hand side, we can input all of our goal measurements. And that's it. This body measurements and weight loss tracker tab has been designed to be a very easy and simple tracker tab to use. We do not want to overcomplicate it, and we want to make your weight loss journey as simple and as seamless as possible. The next tab is the photo log tab. Once again, you'll see that down the left hand side, you have your navigation menu, as well as your welcome message and a question as to whether you'll be taking your progress picture today. The photo log has been designed to be simple and easy to use. You will take a picture once a month so that you're able to track your body changes. This helps you to not only track your body changes on the scale and by your measurements, but also visually. So you can add a date here, for example, of September 2024 by using the calendar. And then the green cells will automatically populate and you'll be able to select and insert your picture into the cells. You would do this by clicking on the cell, clicking on insert, scrolling down to image, insert image in cell, and then you'll be able to browse your computer for the picture that you're looking for. If you click browse, it will take you to your file explorer, and then you can search for any of the pictures within your computer that you are searching for. Once you've done that, you'll be able to click OK, and this box will automatically close and your picture will be included in the box. Once you have a range of pictures for each month, you will then be able to go to the home page, and on the home page, your most recent progress pictures will show up. And because we have no pictures for the 18th of September, these boxes are now blank. And you'll also be able to compare different months worth. So for example, we can look up to January, and this is because we have included on our body measurements tracker weight loss up until January 2025 here, and therefore this is showing us that we have had weight loss of 6.5 kg, our BMI has reduced, and we've had changes in our waist. However, because we haven't taken any pictures for January 2025, this will show us that there are no pictures to be shown here. If we go back to August, we can't go back to July because the first option is July. So the earliest we can go back to is August. You'll see the comparison photos showing here. If, for example, I change this to August, I then can only go from September and so on and so forth. That's how you're able to use the information from the photo log and quickly access it on the homepage. We're now moving into our fitness section of the spreadsheet. On this tab, you're able to build exercise cards. The exercise cards allow you to include different exercises with the target muscle groups and any of the secondary muscle groups that it targets, as well as images that you can find from Canva and other platforms. You can include photos of the exercise as well as images of the muscle groups, and then any links to videos that show you how to perform that exercise correctly. You also have your navigation menu down the left-hand side, as well as your welcome message. The boxes in this left-hand section allows you to be able to navigate between the different exercises that you have included. So for example, if we click squats, you will then be able to see the image that you have included for the photo of how to do the workout, as well as the muscle groups targeted. It will also show you your target muscle group and any secondary muscle groups included. We're going to take the glute cable kickback as our next option. You'll see here that we have a video as well as the workouts for the muscle group and the pictures for the actual workout. Because there are only 2 secondary muscle groups that has been updated, and our target exercise are our actual glutes. When you hover over the video link, you'll be able to click directly into that YouTube video and that will open for you to be able to watch. Below, you're able to actually search by muscle group to find all of the exercises that target that specific muscle group. So if we click back, here we have included that deadlifts, pull-ups, and 2-arm dumbbell row are the exercises that we can perform to target that muscle group. What this helps you to do is to build up effective workout regimes and groups of exercises so that you're able to target specific muscle groups within your workout regime. If we go to deadlift, we can then easily navigate and see how to do the exercise, find a video for that exercise, as well as the different muscle groups that are targeted. We're now moving on to our strength training routines. After you've built up your exercise cards, you can then put together your different strength training routines by clicking on the drop down in each of these boxes. We have categorized these as lower body, upper body, core, full body, and also mobility and flexibility. This allows you to be able to quickly pick different strength training routines with a collection of different exercises so that you can put together an effective workout program for a number of weeks. So let's select lower body. In lower body, you're able to click on high knees, for example, and this will tell you the target muscle group automatically. You'll then put in the amount of weight that you want to use, how many sets you want to do, and how many reps you're going to do of each set. You'll see at the top that we can see the different muscle groups that are being impacted by these exercises. So far, we have calves and quadriceps. When you select the drop down will show you the full range of exercises that have been included on your exercise cards. Our next tab is our workout log. The workout log is for you to record all of the different exercises that you will be performing on a specific day, week, or month. The first thing you'll need to do is put in your date. Here we can put in the 24th of April. You're then able to just type what exercise you would like to do. So this may be jump squats. The next one that we might do is on the 30th of April. We are going to do a 10K run. You will notice that each time you put in a new date, the checkbox comes up automatically. Once you have completed the exercise, you're able to tick it off, and this will then pull through automatically to our workout calendar. If we go across to our workout calendar, this shows us everything in the workout log, but in calendar view. So we're going to view April. April shows us that across the month, we have planned to do a Grow with Joe exercise twice, jump squats once, and a 10K run once. If we go back to the workout log, you'll clearly be able to see that everything in April is as follows. If we now say that we have done the 10-kilometer run and we click done, when we go back to the workout calendar, you can now see that the 10K run has automatically been updated to a green tick. This workout calendar is fully automated, and all you have to do is change the month to be able to see your respective workouts. So if we go to January, you'll be able to see all of the workouts that you've included, and you'll be able to see up to 7 workouts per day. The next tab is the workout planner. On this tab, you can plan your workout for each week of each month in advance. We suggest or recommend that you plan your workouts for a whole month, and then you're able to track what your monthly goal is and how many workouts you've actually completed in that month. For each week, you can see the goal, and then you can see how many you've actually completed. So for example, if we complete an extra day of Zumba in the 4th week, we have completed 2 out of our 5 workouts. This links through to our homepage, and if we track down, we can see overall in January, we have now completed 61% of our planned workouts, as opposed to the 58% we had at the beginning. If you want to quickly navigate back, we can just click on the hyperlink here. If I then also click, we now have completed 64% as we have completed 21 of our workouts. And I'm going to go back to the homepage and it automatically populates here. Once again, if you would like to easily be able to navigate from one tab to another, you can use our quick navigation menu. You're able to complete 1 year's worth of workouts. However, we do recommend that you take it month by month and week by week so that you do not overwhelm yourself. Next, we have our daily journal tab. On this tab, you literally treat it as though it is your journal and you can write anything you want in here. We have included this habit tracker for hours slept, mood, energy levels, and water intake. And all of these can be tracked on the homepage. For each, you can just enter a date, and from there, you're able to document how you're feeling, what went well, and what you did on the day. You can then select how many hours you slept on that day, for example. You're also able to say what mood you were in on that day and what your energy levels were on a scale from 1 to 10. You can then include how much water you drank in a specific day. And here you can say that you drank 3. And then we've included a section about what are the things that I'm most grateful for? What things have you accomplished? And what are the things that we just need to work on? This is a great way to be able to just keep on top of your emotions, your feelings, see how things are impacting you from day to day and how they may be impacting your overall wellness and fitness journey. We are now into our final section of this overall fitness tracker. This section is our recipe book. Here you can include all of your favorite recipes and record up to 150 recipes. On the right hand side of this tab, you would include your dish name. You would put what it is, whether it's a main or a dessert or a breakfast. You would then be able to put your prep time and any other cooking information, as well as all of your macros and calories. You can then include whether it includes meat, includes lactose, and whether it includes gluten and how many people it serves. You can list your ingredients and the amount that you need, as well as your cooking instructions. One thing to note when you are including your ingredients, because this tab allows you to automatically populate your shopping list, if for example you have salt and you've put salt in as 1 teaspoon, if you then include salt elsewhere in another place for a different recipe and it's going to have a measurement of tablespoon, please include that as salt, TBSP, so that the tracker is able to differentiate between the different types of salt being included. This would be the same across all of the other food and ingredient categories, as duplicates will cause a tracker to not be able to differentiate between the different ingredient types, and therefore you won't be able to properly use the functionality of the shopping list and expense tracker. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us and we will happily talk you through in more detail what we mean here. But just for clarity, if for example you have chicken breasts and you want it to say 1 piece and then put a quantity of 1 and then piece, you would then call this item chicken breast piece. Try to ensure that you do not have any spelling mistakes. So if you are using chicken breast 1 piece in another recipe, you would make sure that it's spelled exactly the same and has chicken breast piece. You then can update the quantity and the unit over here. Something to note when filling in the quantity for specific items and the quantity is above 1, for example, it's 1 1/4, we need to change the way in which we're inputting those fractions. So at the moment, if we take the example of flour, we've included that the measurement for flour is 1/3. If the measurement was to be 1 1/3 or 1 1/4, we would have to include the measurement as so. that is how you would have to include those measurements. So if we do 1 1/3, it would be 1.33, just rounded to the nearest 2. The measurements need to be included in this way because if they are not, it impedes on the functionality of the Google Sheet and it won't correctly recognize the number of units required when pulling through to the weekly planner and shopping list. If we go across now to the shopping list in the weekly planner, you can see that flour is 8 3/4. This is important, as I said, because if you had included it as 1/4, it wouldn't have correctly picked up the balance. So please just note that when you're including anything that is over 1 or is 1 and a bit or 2 and a bit and isn't a whole number, you will have to include it as 1 point, whatever the fraction is. Hopefully that makes sense, but if not, please feel free to reach out to us. After you update all of your recipes with the ingredients and the instructions, you can also include a photo. This photo is really good because it makes your recipe book section on the left-hand side of the tab very visual. You can include a photo by going to Insert, Image in Cell, and then you're able to browse your computer for the image that you require. On the left-hand side of this tab, you'll see that there is a drop-down and it includes all of the different recipes that we have included so far. So for example, if I click on avocado toast, you can see a beautiful image of avocado toast, as well as the ingredients that are included and any other information that I have included in the recipe. If we scroll down to avocado toast here, you'll note that where there is missing information, that information has not been included above. However, if I wanted to change this and say that it was included lactose, here you will now see it says contains lactose. If I were to change it, take that off and include gluten, it now says lactose free but contains gluten. And this is why it's so important for you to fully populate your recipe cards so that when you then have the drop down function, you're able to fully see what is included in that recipe. Let's take an example where we have included both ingredients and instructions in full. If we have a look at overnight oats, we can see here that it has been included as contains meat, but I will change that. So now it says that it is plant-based, contains lactose, but is gluten-free. As we scroll down, we can see all of the ingredients and the instructions clearly listed. This allows us to be able to easily navigate through the 150 recipes that we can populate on this tab. When including your quantities on this recipe book, please ensure that you are including any fractions as 1/2, for example, for half, or you could include 0.5. This will have an impact on your weekly meal planner, as well as your expense tracker and your shopping list. So if we have a look at these two examples, if we were going to include this as meal, and we can include sesame seeds, and we're just going to have it as cup, and we're going to just have this as cornmeal. Can now go over and have a look at our weekly meal planner. And in our weekly meal planner, we have 3.5 cups and 3.5 cups of cornmeal and sesame seeds. Please be mindful that these are the way in which you need to record your fractions, and anything else that is a whole number, you can just include as a whole number in order for the recipe book or the expense tracker to work correctly. We now have the weekly meal planner tab. This tab is jam-packed with so many useful things. There is so much information on this tab, so it can be overwhelming sometimes. However, if we break it down into the 3 separate categories, we have the weekly meal planner setup, the automated grocery shopping list, and finally, we have the previous meals planned, which you copy from your weekly meal planner setup. So let's start on the left-hand side of this tab. In this section, you can click on the drop down for each day and meal type. You'll be able to select from a drop down of all the foods that you've included in your recipe book. So for example, we have got overnight oats. We can also include avocado toast. And for lunch, we can include jollof rice. And then we may also include jollof rice for dinner. You'll note on the right hand side of this table, we have our calories, carbs, protein, fat, sugar, and fiber automatically updating. And if we scroll in, it will automatically inform us whether or not we have exceeded, we are on track, or whether or not some of our food intakes or our macro intakes are high. So based on the calories we have included on our recipe tab, it will then automatically update and count all of that information. This will be completed for each day. Once you have included your meals, you'll notice that the shopping list is automatically populating with all of the ingredients for those meals. This is why it is important when you're including your ingredients, you differentiate between ingredients that have the same name but have different unit amounts. So here you can see we've got salt, TBSP, but we also have salt. One is teaspoon and one is tablespoon. And now the automatic grocery list is able to differentiate between the two. On the right hand side of your grocery shopping list, you have a drop down where you can select your status. The statuses are set up in your setup tab. You can either select bought, on hand, to buy, or no need. So for example, if you have already purchased your cornmeal, this will then show you that there is no need to purchase it and it has crossed it through. Alternatively, if you need to buy an item, it will show an X because this is an item that we still need to purchase. Once you have set up your weekly meal plan, you'll be able to go through and set the status for each of your items so that when you are then completing the weekly shop, it's much easier to navigate what is needed from what is not needed. I'm just going to quickly go through and set up to buy for the remainder of our items. What you'll now see is that we have a list of items that are in our shopping list as to buy. If we go to our homepage, you will now see that we have all of those items included in our grocery shopping list. This is a quick and easy way for you to see what is required and what is not required. I'm going to change blueberries and chia seeds to purchased. When we go back to our homepage, you will then notice that blueberry and chia seeds have now disappeared from the list. This is just a really good visual way for you to be able to track your shopping, for you to be able to come into the spreadsheet whilst you're out and about in your chosen store and be able to just quickly see at a glance what you have from what you don't have. Finally, on the far side of this tab, you're able to copy and paste all of your weekly meal plan across to this section. And that way, if you run out of ideas or you're not sure what you want to make, you can just flick through your previous meal plans and then pick ideas from there, or just copy and paste the items back into your current week's worth. And that way you'll easily be able to repeat or recreate weeks of meal plans. We are now on our expense tracker. This grocery expense tracker is made up of 4 different tables. You have your grocery expense tracker table as well as your mini tables so that you're able to calculate your total weekly grocery expense. We're first going to look at the grocery expense tracker table. This table is for you to include a list of all of your ingredients as well as the different categories that the ingredients come under and the amount that you're going to purchase, the amount paid, and then finally the store that you're going to purchase it from and the day that you bought it. So for example, we have got ghee under oil and fat, and ghee is costing us £2 and we're buying that from Asda. As you go through the days, months and weeks of using this tracker, you have multiple lines, as you can see, where you're able to consistently put in the information of the items that you've purchased and how much they are, where you've purchased them from, and when you got them. This allows you to view and manage spending habits and also may help you determine when you're going to need to replenish and restock specific items. I'm going to say that we purchased ghee on the 16th of April and sunflower on the 10th of April. We are now going to go back to our home page, and in our home page we're going to scroll down to the grocery expense tracker timeline. We are going to select oil and fat. And from oil and fat, we can click either sunflower oil or ghee. I'll go with ghee. And what we'll see here is that we have actually purchased £2 worth of ghee, and that's the total amount that we've spent over the entire time that we've been tracking our expenses. Our highest spending month was in April because we actually just only bought £2 worth. But within this specific category of oil and fat, sunflower oil is actually the highest value product of anything that we've purchased. So if I now click on sunflower oil, you'll see there that we have £5.50 worth. So I'm going to change the information that we have actually put into the expense tracker so we can see the impact on this table. So I've now updated our expense tracker to include the fact that we have bought ghee and sunflower oil multiple times in the past few months. If we now go to our homepage, you'll be able to see that the total amount spent on ghee is £6 overall since we have started using our expense tracker. And up until April, as we're only able to track up until the date at which we're at, so April 2025, we have spent a total amount of £6. Our highest spend month was £4 when we bought ghee twice. However, our highest spend product within this specific category is sunflower oil. If we go to sunflower oil, we'll be able to see that our total spend is the £16.50, and each month we are spending £5.50. So this is just a good way for you to be able to track your expenses. Just note that on the expense tracker, you will only be able to include a quantity of 1. So if, for example, you bought ghee twice on the 23rd of January, you would have to include ghee on 2 separate lines at the value and put the 23rd of January for it to recognize it as 2 payments. The next section of this tab is our total weekly grocery expense. This is mostly automated, and what this is showing you is the total cost of the shopping which we have bought, as well as the total cost of the shopping which is yet to buy. So what you will see is all of these items here are chicken breast, our ketchup, mustard, chia seeds, blueberries, cornmeal. We have actually purchased those items, and these items are from our weekly meal planner. If we look at the items that we have already clicked as bought, we've got ketchup, we've got mustard, we've got chicken breast, etc. And the value of those items are coming from our table here. The next list that we are generating is the items that we have yet to buy. So you'll see salt is nil, and that's because we haven't included an amount for salt. So what you'll need to do is include an amount for salt in this table here, and it will be able to pull the amount over so that we can see how much it is. Finally, we have an ad hoc items list, such as your crisps, your chocolates, etc. What you can do here is select it from the drop down. That drop down is automating from any of the items that you put in this list over here. And then the amount will automatically be populated from the amount that you include in this list. The total amount for each of these categories will come up at the top, and the total value of your total weekly shop will be populated in this box at the top. Finally, we have our rewards tracker. This tab is very simple and is basically a way of you setting rewards for each of the amounts of weight you have lost. You can set the amount of weight here and the date that you want to achieve it by, or that you have achieved it by, and then you put in the name of the reward here. It's a nice visual way for you to be able to list your rewards and track them every single time you have reached a major milestone. So that is it. That is our ultimate fitness planner. We really hope that this planner is able to help and support you along in your journey. And once again, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us via our Etsy shop, and we will be more than happy to help you. Good luck in your journey, and we hope to see you again soon at Tari Planners.